You could also go into the like conspiracy theories around Abandoned and Hideo Kojima's
oh shit, son! Yeah, that's my fire.
and trailer and everything, and it's
gone. About?
It's like been posted. Okay, so right. There's a massive conspiracy on the internet that there is this game being developed by a company called Blue Box Games, and it is called Abandoned.
They think it's Silent Hill.
They think it's Silent Hill, and Hideo Kojima is on board. It is a Sony funded or partnered game. And there's just an awful lot of conspiracies going around because of the coincidences and like happy accidents that seem to be occurring. So for example, in the director's cut trailer of Death Stranding, he has a Netherlands flag on his shoulder. There is a Kojima Productions Netherlands base. So people were like, okay, all right, I see what she's talking about.
So it's a lot of people connecting a bunch of little dots together.
Right. And the head of the studio, Blue Box Games, I don't want to do this because they could be a legit studio. The head of the studio of Blue Box Games is Netherlands or Dutch, right? And his surname or something actually translates to hero, which is the same as Hideo, because Hideo is Japanese for hero. So there's like a
I mean, Kojima is the master of conspiracies. So.
Right. And I think this is an excellent marketing ploy. And I'm like, please, I hope this is true, because if this isn't, that'd be so disappointing. Okay, so the other thing about...
The thing I find hard to believe, though, is just very, very recently, there was, it was well known that Xbox was talking to Hideo Kojima about working with him on an exclusive project.
But that's fine. He could be working with Xbox.
That's true. He's a freelancer.
Project. Yes, yeah.
But it's like that was never dismissed either. That was never put to rest. It never came out like, oh, Hideo Kojima said no and he walked away.
Right.
So.
But he might be working on the Xbox project. But Sony, I believe, I don't know how, but Sony have the rights to Silent Hill.
I don't think they do. They don't.
I don't think they do.
No, Konami still owns it.
So Konami have actually been shipping it off to people, like trying to apply buyers for it. So there's a lot of people that are actually doing it. Strangely enough, like the article that while I'm waiting for my article to be edited, the one I'm releasing for the website, I'm writing a second one about Silent Hill.
Oh, okay.
And it's about the conspiracies of Silent Hill and being.
Hey, this is perfect. Right, we got it. We're on a roll here. There we go.
Yeah. So I'm just
here's the content we're all here for.
So
Maria.
Is that where I can say like, welcome to the Replayer Podcast?
Nice.
Like we were just kind of shooting the shit today and talking about conspiracy theories, and we were gushing about Xbox a little bit because little Miss Pagan has herself an Xbox Series X.
Oh, what's that?
Oh,
is that
shiny?
Huh? Who knew?
Have you christened it yet?
No, I haven't, because Adam has been on it all day while I've been working. So we had dinner and then I came up here. So, just a few episodes ago, we were talking about E3 and the Xbox Bethesda presentation. And I think the title of the episode is something like, I'm going to get an Xbox now.
Dude, I totally want an Xbox.
Right. I want to get an Xbox now. I fucking did it. I succumbed to Xbox Microsoft marketing. God damn you, marketing teams.
I think it's marketing. I think it's value proposition.
Are you kidding me? It's definitely marketing. Have you seen the fucking box? Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. We all agree that the box and the packaging for the Xbox Series X is phenomenal.
For sure. It is the better unboxing experience for a console. The PlayStation experience for unboxing was just so disappointing because you're just like, oh cool, I'll just flip this out of the box. Yeah. Whereas this, it actually made it feel like a really well-loved
It was an event.
Product. It was packaged with love. Yeah, it was an event.
Like I actually... Sadly enough, I actually recorded myself unboxing my Xbox because I wanted to make an unboxing video out of that. And the recording didn't come out right.
No.
And I couldn't.
Sad.
I tried to actually like repackage things and like, I'm going to do it again. And like 5 minutes in, I'm like, no, this isn't going to work. It's not going to have the same magic. It's not going to work the
same way. It's because of like the little peely tabs at the bottom. I love that shit. That shit is all over like Apple products. And that's like my jam. I love that. And Adam shares the same passion for like product design and product packaging. So if there's really good packaging, we're like, oh, we should get that product. So the product packaging really does sell us sometimes.
Right.
It's like if
it's
you ever go in
iPhones, when you get like the little bits, it's like
you're gonna do the.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And just like even the tab, like it's like this pull tab where it gives you like an instructional arrow to pull it, and it's just so satisfying. PlayStation upgrade game, dude.
It's like, have you ever gone to a liquor store and saw a really nice looking bottle of something that you're like, I kind of want to buy that just because that bottle looks really cool.
No.
We have actively purchased different products because of their packaging. You can ask Adam. Adam loves packaging. There's like particular beer brands that we love the packaging for. We're like, oh, I love that. That's great. And the beers are really good too. So that's a bonus. But I feel like packaging really does sell so much of that product. Because why would you get like a different version of that if this packaging looks more appealing to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah. So
yeah, this is a really cool unboxing experience. And I did sucker into Microsoft marketing and I got an Xbox Series X. And I'm very excited to play it. And Game Pass, and I'm going to start playing all of my FOMO stuff. all of the stuff I missed out on by not having an Xbox when I grew up. So PJ,
good.
Drew, I am ready for that Halo party whenever you're ready. Thank you.
We already have a Halo party. Like we have a Halo party all the time
With
now.
Drew and PJ?
No.
Okay.
No,
myself,
just me.
I was gonna be like, I wasn't invited.
Just me. Like the Halo party is
interesting.
always open for all here.
Maria got that. She's like, no, there's nobody else in there, just me.
I know.
Just me.
I just play Halo. Yeah.
I play Halo by
shooting the
myself.
shit.
Me, myself, and I.
But what we were shooting the shit about, other than the amazingness that is Xbox packaging, I haven't actually given this a run through yet. We did run, I think, the first introduction level of Forza, and Horizon Forza, and
it's so good.
That is such a beautiful game. But other than that, we were discussing the kind of like conspiracy theories, which Maria knows all about regarding Silent Hill and Hideo Kojima, and this app that's going to be released for PlayStation that you could download, and that will then give you access to a preview trailer for this game called Abandoned. Am I right, Maria?
Mm-hmm.
And that's now been pushed to August. It was supposed to release today.
Are they trying to say that the Abandoned could also reference the fact that PT was abandoned?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have been so burnt with Silent Hill promises. I cannot hold on to it. I'm sorry.
I don't know. This seems very convincing, though. This whole conspiracy theory.
Well, I mean, recently they just made an announcement, and I almost got excited because on Twitter they were like, "Oh, coming soon," and there was a picture of Pyramid Head, and everyone was like, "Oh shit, son, skateboards." The fuck?
Skateboards.
And so, and then also that as well, it's like another game's going to be released, pachinko machines. What the fuck?
Okay. But there's like this big rabbit hole, right? And I didn't know anything about this. My lovely fiance has been down this rabbit hole and has brought up all of the dregs of information for me. Because I'm like, huh? Because I'm working throughout the day, and he'd be like, "Yo, Pagan, did you see this thing?" I'm like, I did not see that while I was dealing with all of these customers. No, but he has told me that there's quite a lot of like rabbit holes that you go down on the YouTubes for this conspiracy. And a lot of it is starting to look really sus. Okay? It's real sus. There's this guy's like the head, I think it's the head of the company of Blue Box Games that are based in the Netherlands. That I think he has a gamer tag, and you can actually add him on PlayStation or Xbox or something. But when you look it up, don't quote me on this, but apparently those games that he's gotten trophies for or whatever, or achievements for, they don't exist or they're not available anymore. So they're like, fake account? Possibly. And it has a little tick next to it, right? So you know it's a real account. And just like so much other things, right? We were talking about the guy in the Netherlands who's the head of this Blue Box Games, who also has a similar name that translates to what Hideo Kojima would translate to, essentially. And the Kojima Productions have a base in the Netherlands. There's other, like, what are the other conspiracies that they're like going through with this? Oh, Abandoned, obviously. Before, when they were doing Phantom Pain, when Kojima was doing Phantom Pain, they released it under another pseudonym company, like a game development company. I can't remember what they're called. Wild something. But that company had like a Twitter account and everything, and they released a statement being like, we are not associated with Metal Gear or Hideo Kojima. And of course they were. It was Phantom Pain, and they had come out then to say it. And Blue Box Games, if you look at the logo for Blue Box Games, it looks an awful lot like PlayStation Games logo.
Yeah,
it's interesting because I'm looking at Abandoned now, and I'm like, okay, I remember seeing a trailer for this game a couple of weeks ago, I think. And I was like, oh, okay, it's a new kind of independent, like Silent Hill-esque, Resident Evil-esque survival horror. But I didn't think anything much of it since then. And I'm now looking at it online, and I'm like, okay, I remember this. And everything else is like conspiracy.
It's massive conspiracy. And then I think they tweeted out to say that Abandoned isn't the title of the game. It actually starts with an S and ends with an L. And then the following tweet was, we're actually not associated with Hideo Kojima, and it's not Silent Hill. So although you think that's like, oh, that's a good statement, that's exactly what somebody who was associated with Hideo Kojima would say, you know, because they've done that before with Phantom Pain. So it's a very interesting conspiracy.
It is an interesting conspiracy, and because I've been writing this article, I've been going down the rabbit hole of Silent Hill previous conspiracies and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so the Medium that just came out, not just came out in February, is a really heavily inspired Silent Hill game. It is insanely like Silent Hill.
I mean, it's even co-composed by the original composer of Silent Hill.
Yeah, Akira Yamaoka wrote the music for it, who wrote the music for the game. Well, they said, Blue Bar, who is the makers of that game, they said that they are working on a second project with Akira. And they quoted, it's for an existing horror IP from a very famous game publisher.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, and then they also, so it's an existing horror IP. And Akira was interviewed by a Middle Eastern outlet, and he confirmed that he was working
with Hideo,
with this Bloober team, and he said, it's the one you've been hoping for.
Ooh.
And that interview was taken down.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, and so it's one of those like, what?
That takes me even further down the rabbit hole, because Bloober Team's involvement with Microsoft lately, because the last two Bloober games have been coming to Xbox first.
Yeah.
Like Blair Witch came to Xbox first, and then the Medium, and the Medium as of now is a Xbox/PC exclusive. So it's like,
and of course Hideo, well, actually he was on Summer Games Fest, right? He was in Summer Games Fest during E3 presentations. It wasn't actually the Microsoft, but he was during Summer Games Fest, and he was like just talking about the future of games and stuff. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I think like Hideo Kojima has thought so far out of the box regarding like some of his games and how like the play mechanics will work and how to like change this up for gamers, that this just would not surprise me if it was him. I think this is genius. There's supposed to be an app released today as we're recording this 25th of June. It was supposed to be released today that would give you access to a here's the thing. So he said that somebody said it's going to give you access to a trailer, right? For this game. And I'm like, an app that's going to give you access to this trailer. So potentially, could it be a playable trailer?
Yeah, like the PT trailer.
Slow zoom, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna be a playable trailer just like PT, because it's gonna be Silent Hill.
PT was so good though.
Jesus, so yeah.
And I'm so sad that I got cancelled.
Same. Everybody was. Everybody
was Konami
really shocked.
Just kind of like dropped the ball there, and that's actually something I was going to mention before. Is Konami was supposed to be at E3. And then they weren't there. Dropped. They didn't show. So there was a lot of talk before E3 that Konami was going to be there. I did a whole blog about it and talking about how, what's Konami going to have? What are they coming to the table with? Why are they going to be at E3? Are they bringing back their franchises? Because there was rumors the last 2 years that, Konami's going to get bought by Sony, or Konami's going to get bought by Xbox, or they're going to sell their franchises to whoever. And like many, many people thought Sony was going to buy Metal Gear or they're going to buy Silent Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And none of it ever actually came true. And then no show from Konami at E3 when, as far as anyone knew, they were supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a weird one. It is just Silent Hill. The last real installment was like 2014.
We should have live streamed this episode of the podcast.
Yeah, we should have.
Downpour was the last one, and it's like, and it wasn't a failure. It's Silent Hill is a lead runner of survival horror. Like them and Resident Evil are like the top two games, and so I understand if Silent Hill was not a good game, but it really was. It's like, come on, guys, what are you waiting for? You know, it's just. Yeah, I feel like it definitely is out there. And the thing is with Metal Gear Solid, like they said, we're making a remake. We're remaking Metal Gear Solid 1. And everyone's like, sure, all right, okay. But then there was a fake rumor of a remake of Silent Hill, and Konami shut it down and was like, no, it's not happening. So it's like, how comes they all let the rumor of Metal Gear Solid go through, but anything Silent Hill, they're like, no, it's not happening. Get over it.
They're very strict about it.
Are they trying to get the hype up to be like, oh, we want, when this lands, it's going to be massive? Or I don't know. It's a weird one. They seem to be so tricky with it.
The problem is I'm kind of like, that game is not ever going to land and not be massive.
Yeah, right, for sure.
You know what I mean?
They're doing the Blair Witch thing by building up hype for it.
Yeah. And it better be good.
I think if this is true, like if it's like if the Kojima theory is true, that he's going to come out with Silent Hill and is going to be this game that was supposedly called Abandoned and stuff, right? Regardless of what console it's on, I think the best way to have done that is like, you know, the way Beyonce just drops an album overnight and nobody fucking knew about it, and it just blows up the internet. Okay, well, I do. So I feel like that's probably what he's gonna do. Like, it'll just be like, hey, it's just this indie company, you can download this app or whatever, and as soon as you download that app and you find out what it is, if it's true, that shit is gonna break the internet. Everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, somebody download this app. Oh my god, did you know? Did you know? Did you know?
And then they did that with Apex Legends.
Snowball.
I personally think they should do what you two did and just put it on people's Xboxes without their permission.
Yeah, without even
they'll load up and Silent Hill will be on their Xbox.
That would probably piss more people off than make them happy. How dare you update a game onto my system?
Yeah. It's like, can you imagine if you turned on the PlayStation or the Xbox or any console actually, and just saw Silent Hill next to it, like in your recent apps, you'd be like, wait, what the fuck?
It's such a good game though.
That would be extra conspiracy going on there.
Yeah.
Kojima's a master of that crap, because it's bad enough like when he got everybody with Metal Gear Solid 2, because for years I looked forward to Metal Gear Solid 2, and for years it was like, yes, a new adventure with Solid Snake. And then you don't play a Solid Snake.
Yeah, it's not. But then Adam was
explaining
this to me, because I've never played Metal Gear. Adam was explaining this to me as well, because the idea was that they were releasing marketing with Solid Snake.
Yep.
To be like, you're gonna play as Solid Snake, and then you play as Raiden, and the idea is that the whole game is about giving somebody a false message to get them to do what you want them to do. And people are buying this game because they want to play as Solid Snake, and then they start playing as a different character, and they're like, wait, what the fuck? But that is so meta. Like, it is so fucking meta that I'm like, I am so excited for whatever Hideo Kojima comes out with, because I'm like, I've not played those games. I've played like a little bit, and I've seen quite a bit of it, but not story based, right?
See now.
So I don't know all of that stuff, but I've played Death Stranding, and it's so out of the box, and occasionally I'm like, huh? But it's just so good. Like, it's such a great experience, because I don't think anybody else is giving you the same.
The thing I want the most.
No.
You've never played Silent Hill? Oh,
no.
Only from like
the first horror game I've actually played was freaking like Layers of Fear, and then the 7th Resident Evil.
That's your pants.
No, I'm not gonna. Are you kidding me? I see the nurses and then the pyramid head thing. I've seen that on fucking meme media, and I'm like, nah, I'm good, thank you.
So
not today, friend.
Right.
There's something for me that if I could ever hope that Hideo Kojima is going to do anything in the world, is make a new Zone of the Enders game. I love Zone of the Enders. I think it's one of the best things he's ever done.
I'm gonna Google it.
I really, really, really hope that some way, somehow, that man is able to get the rights to that franchise, because I think it's still another Konami-owned franchise, because he made it under them.
I think you've mentioned this game several times before as well.
I've heard of it. Yeah, I've never.
I love Zone of the Enders.
Was this on Xbox or was it released on?
It was originally released on PlayStation 2. Zone of the Enders 1 and 2. The game originally came out as a demo disc. No, that's how they marketed it. They released Zone of the Enders 1, and it came with a demo disc for Metal Gear Solid 2. So people bought Zone of the Enders just to get Metal Gear Solid 2 demo.
Ah, okay.
Clever.
And that's what I did. And I was like, oh, this is actually a really fun game. The first one's not great, but it still has like, it's deep and it's dark and it's messaging and it's very Hideo Kojima. And then the second one, when he was like, I'm going to lean into this, it's the like, I think what's some of his best work as a like just action game with a lot of conspiracy and intrigue and just over the top action and fun, because you don't get that in like Metal Gear, and Zone of the Enders is the opposite. And it's even listed, you know, like Metal Gear is espionage, stealth, action, or something. Zone of the Enders has got the like fast robot action.
It's a hack and slash third person shooter game.
Yeah.
Hack and slash. There we go.
Hack and slash.
Hack and slash.
Here's my Zone of the Enders.
Right
wow.
And it still has the original demo disc for Metal Gear.
I love that.
Sweet.
I love that.
That was why I bought this game.
I was actually playing Silent Hill Downpour last night. I just had to. I was like, I gotta play it. I gotta see it. I mean, it's not the best one of the series, but I've
heard that one's pretty good though.
It is good. I mean, it does hold up for sure. I mean, a lot of people shit on it, but it was like, people shit on everything. But it's. Are
you a big horror fan then?
Oh yeah, yeah, big horror fan. Like I think we was talking to Dan about this earlier. Like he was saying that he's a big bloody gore fan when he was a kid, and I was like,
yeah.
That's something that
that's wild.
Was going to go into it, like my course as a gamer growing up, and how I started playing games at a young age, and it was as I was getting older, and I got really obsessed with like horror movies and violent video games. And I don't want to say violent specifically, but it's gore. So like Doom for sure was one of the first games that I'm like, ooh, gore, blood, and splashing, and things blowing to pieces all over the place. And then it became this. Let me get my hands on as many games and or horror movies that are just loaded with gore. And it actually, I had that for a long time until I was probably my mid-20s, that I was like, horror movies aren't what they used to be. And I stopped caring as much.
I grew up with horror movies, like literally grew up with them. My dad, we used to, so in the UK in the 80s, there was a ban on horror movies, a lot of horror movies, and it was called the video nasties. And so
that was because of Exorcist, right?
Yeah, so Exorcist was banned for 26 years because of like, it's religious stuff and whatever. But like there was a lot of like Evil Dead and Dawn of the Dead and stuff was banned.
I love
so
those
my
movies.
dad used to try and get hold of them on like old Betamax and VCR and stuff. And it was one of those, it was like passing like notes in school. It was like, have you seen that movie? Oh, I've got it. Yeah. So it was like that kind of like dodgy thing. And so my dad would take him home and watch him, would be like, oh, have you seen that film? And I would be sitting like on the bed, like, watching it while he's watching it. And he would be like, oh, there's a scary bit coming up. And I'm like, what? And he's like, cover your eyes. And I'm like, what? So I was watching like Hellraiser and like,
oh my God. Oh, sorry.
Wow.
Freaked out. Like that game has traumatized me for life.
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser and Freddy Krueger and all this sort of stuff. I used to watch them and I wasn't scared of them. I was about 4 years old when these films came out. So one day I was in preschool and I used to draw because I like drawing. I drew a picture of Freddy Krueger in my preschool and like with a ballpoint pen, and it was like in red, and I had like him killing members of the family and stuff like that. My mum got phoned, like called by my preschool. And
I was like, you had a phone call, didn't you?
Yeah, I was the kid from The Ring drawing the really dark pictures. Everyone was like, is she okay? Because this is really weird. And she's like, oh no, her dad's a DJ, which is true. And he used to go to Halloween parties dressed as Freddy Krueger and stuff. And so and they'd go, no, that's where she's seen it. My mum can't say I was watching horror movies when I was younger, but I was. So I was drawing all these really, really bad things. And so I grew up watching Hellraiser and really bad stuff. And so now
Have you watched Hellraiser recently?
The new ones are bad.
No, I'm talking about the original, the first one.
I've seen it recently.
I've watched that, I think, a few years ago, and I was like, this is really boring. It's so slow.
The second one's the best one.
It goes for shock value when you just kind of like see the weird monsters and they're just kind of there, like they don't do anything.
The hooks in the skin.
Yeah, and it's like
the only thing I remember that is from like
this is why I'm deadpan.
There's a foot in the fridge.
Probably.
There's a foot in the fridge. This is as much as I've seen of this. I don't know if like my dad was watching and then I like was wandering in at whatever age I was, or if we turned on the channel, like if we changed the channel at night or whatever and it was on. But I just remember like the nails.
Yes.
And then opening the fridge and there's like a foot in the fridge and it's all like this weird lighting. I think it's blue. If you know what I'm talking about in chat, if you're listening,
no idea.
Just like back me up on this, right? I don't know where the scene was. I don't know which movie of Hellraiser it was, but it was in one of them and it freaked me the fuck out. Literally, as you're talking about it, I have chills. I would never touch that movie with a barge pole because I saw it whatever age I was and it fucking traumatized me. I could not watch anything like that or similar lighting. I was like, huh, and I think it's interesting that me and Maria are on
the opposite end of the spectrum on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's fascinating. People are like one of my best friends is like a horror nut, like a complete horror fiend, has probably watched every single horror film ever made. And she just watches like the most random indie style videos, like movies anyway, because she's just a movie fan. But that's so like, that blows my mind because I'm just not a horror. It's not that I'm not a horror fan. It's that I just don't enjoy being terrified. And I literally do get terrified.
Like the funny thing is like Dan said about my husband. He's like, oh, he looks like he's into horror games and stuff when he was. I'm into horror more than he is. Like my husband, not Dan, because I'm the sort of person that I like watching. You know, I like watching serial killer movies. A girl who likes serial killers, what the hell? But to me, people go to me, oh, I love serial killers. I love all that sort of stuff, and I'm like, at what level? No.
Okay.
I'm just like, I really like that stuff.
No. Okay, so I enjoy watching like true crime documentaries or that kind of stuff. Love it. But if it's like if it's a horror film that like there's a thriller involved and there's like Freddy Krueger and stuff like that, I could not watch that as a kid. Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff. It makes my skin crawl. I get really like sweaty. I get too scared. The first ever, I said to myself like before, this was years ago, I wanted to experience a horror film in the cinema. I was like, I just want to experience a horror film in the cinema because it's probably like once in a lifetime thing that I would do because I hate horror. I don't like being that uncomfortable. Because I get really scared. And I think I was talking about this with Lily recently. You might see it on one of her episodes. But I start getting anxious and then my knee or my foot will start like moving like this. And then I'll start twirling my hair. And then if I'm dual wielding and I'm twirling both sides of my hair, Adam is like, are you okay? Yeah. Like, do you need to calm down? And the answer is yes. But the first ever film that I've ever seen, and the only horror film I've ever seen in the cinema, was The Conjuring. And the paranormal shit gets me so much worse than like the thriller shit does.
Oh, don't I was gonna say, so, like on my side, I'm much more of a fan of like the supernatural / paranormal horror films, especially with like the max gore effect. Like that's what does it for me. I don't like the slasher films so much. I find them kind of boring, especially when it's the like Michael Myers just constantly walking at you with a knife. Those kind of movies, I'm like, that's boring.
It's just gore porn.
For me, it's the gore porn.
It's gore porn.
It's like one of my favorite.
It's the same movie with the same ending. You know,
one of my favorite horror movies of all time because of the gore is actually like there's 13 Ghosts and there's Ghost Ship. I think those are two of the.
13 Ghosts. I remember watching that as a kid.
Good.
And that didn't scare me as much.
But the gore in that movie though is phenomenal.
The gore in that movie is very good. The when the glass like splits the guy in half.
Exactly. Matthew Lillard gets split in half and you see like his front end slide off and you can see the back of his head.
Yeah, that was so weird. I actually watched that when I was younger and I didn't freak out so much at that one. I don't know why that one didn't get me as much, but that one wasn't as bad as I thought.
Yeah, and then like the opening the Ghost Ship, so good.
I'm the world's worst at like when I stream horror games. I like people go, "Oh, Resident Evil is so scary, it's really bad," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's a good game." But I was streaming it and I was playing it, and I'm like, when she like cuts his hand off and stuff, and I'm like, "Yeah, it's really funny," and everyone's like, "What is wrong with you, you sicko? Why?"
That was
what
me
is
playing
wrong
that
with
too.
you?
I had no issue. I'm just like, okay,
I'm just
all
like,
right.
That's really
chop the
funny.
hand off. Like, I didn't need that hand anyways.
Okay, I've talked to you about this then, right? I still
Stumpy.
have not completed the game, so like, let's not spoil the end, okay? But let's talk about the clearly heavily influenced PT version, right?
Yes.
In the Beneviento basement.
Yes.
I said to, like Adam said before, that he was talking to his brothers, and his brothers are like, I think it's the scariest thing that's probably in a Resi game, or one of the scariest things that for me, right? That's what his brother said to Adam. And I was like, oh, I'm really looking forward to this. And he's like, how did you find it? And I was like, Adam, I'm not gonna lie to you. I absolutely hated every single minute. I felt sick. I didn't want to do it. And then chat was just like, just speed run it, like speed run. And then if you get caught, like you die and just end the game and you're fine. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. But literally after that, like after we did that chapter, I went to the save point, I switched off stream and everything, and I felt so sick to my core that I was like, I just feel horrible. And it's not because it was so disgusting, right? It's not that reason.
It's actually the least goriest part of the game.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
the least goriest part of the game. And I'm so sorry if you guys haven't
minor
played this
spoiler
game yet.
alert.
I really hope that you've already like played it, or minor spoiler alert. Just that whole section. In fact, I didn't really spoil anything. That whole section just made me feel so tense.
Yeah.
That I was just sweating, but I was also shaking, and I just hated it. And the ambient sounds with headphones is just the worst fucking thing. So I want to know, right? Because Adam's reaction when he saw that bit, without minor spoilers, right? We saw that bit. Adam just went, all right.
Yeah.
And then just walked slowly around the like table area. And I was like,
That's pretty much all I did. You can see it in my stream. I'm just kind of like, oh, okay. And I just like back away slowly.
I was just like,
you guys are kidding me.
I saw it and then I was like, that kind of looks like PT. You know,
right?
Have you played the PT trailer? Have you seen it?
Yeah. I've played it.
Yeah, the fetus in the sink. Yeah, it looks exactly like that, and it's
exactly.
I mean,
and that's the thing about
fetus monster ever. Like, do you remember the fetus monsters in Dead Space? Come on.
Yes.
Those things were terrifying.
No, but I will never play Dead Space.
There's also there's fetus monsters in Dante's Inferno too.
Dante's Inferno was a great game.
I love that game.
Yeah, pretty underrated game actually. If anybody's ever
another
played
Visceral
Dante Inferno,
game. Visceral made Dante's Inferno and Dead Space.
That's right, and it is a gory game. Like to an extent,
very gory.
There's a lot of gore.
Yeah.
Well, you're in the 7 levels of hell, right?
Yeah. So you guys both just were very blasé about that whole section.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
The only part that really got me was the very end bit when you're like trying to get in the elevator and then you're forced to look at it when it's coming at you, and it was just kind of like, ugh. That was my reaction.
What was so funny is like we were having this conversation afterwards, and I was like, what, are you dead inside? And Adam's like, no, I just don't find that kind of stuff intimidating or fun, like, you know, because he's like, you've taken away my weapons, right? So I know it's a run and hide and there's a trick to this. And I'm like, but I hate that because I don't have
the most
weapons.
Boring kind though. I had the same issue.
Yeah, see, and he's just like, meh, like it's fine. He actually felt more intimidated by the castle section where you're being hunted by Lady Dimitrescu, because in Resi 7, like Jack is the scariest thing about that fucking game.
I actually found
he's hunting you.
The Mr. X in Resident Evil 2 remake the most terrifying thing, actually.
Adam has never played Resident Evil 2 because he hates the hunting bit. So if you can imagine like Dimitrescu, like Lady Dimitrescu, and then Jack as well, like they're hunting you throughout the game. He's like, for the whole game, Mr. X is like trying to find you and hunt you, and he's like, I can't play that. I'm like, no.
Lady Dimitrescu is like a fraction of what Mr. X does in Resident Evil 2. Like, I didn't find her intimidating at all. I just like, oh, there she is. I got to walk the other direction. Whereas
she did just pop in a random place.
Yeah, she's really quiet too. Whereas Mr. X, you can hear him roaming the halls, and it was really, especially if you're wearing headphones or have a good sound system, and you hear the thump, 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 thump of his footsteps, and you're like, where is he? Where is he? Is he upstairs? Is he on this floor? I don't know. And then he just walks in the door, and you're like, ah!
Oh my God, no.
That's the thing though. That's what Silent Hill got so good though, is the tenseness of them games. Like that whole basically the
static on the radio.
the dollhouse
Oh,
part
man.
of Resident Evil Village is
Yeah.
basically an entire Silent Hill game. It's that tense.
Completely.
And it's like we was playing Downpour last night, and there was times where you're just walking around and my husband's like, there's no music. It's silent, literally Silent Hill, you know, it's literally quiet. And he was like, it's really weird to not have any music. And you'll walk out of the house, and because of Downpour, the one thing I love about Silent Hill is they have this imagery where everything in the game means something. And so the idea of Downpour is the rain means something's going to happen. So if you see water in the game, that means something's going to happen. That's why it's called Downpour. So and it's so like in Silent Hill 2, Pyramid Head is he is a thing that the main character makes up in his mind, and that's the thing that tortures him. That's it. It's a personification of he feels like because
fear.
he's in Silent Hill 2, the character's wife dies with terminal illness.
Oh yes, I know this.
And so he feels like he should be guilty, so he imagines Pyramid Head as a thing to torture him. That's what it is. That's what it is. So the whole thing of Silent Hill is this imagery thing. And so you go out and it's completely quiet, and then you just hear the patter of the rain, and you're like, oh, shit's about to go down. And it's all about that atmospheric thing. And that's why I love it so much, because it's not like with Resident Evil's great, but I found it was a lot of like zombies, plants trying to eat you, alligators, it's a little goofy. But with Silent Hill, it's just tense, and it's like mental illness. It's got that Hellblade thing about it, where it's like the mental problem, the mental illness and stuff in it, and
it's really got a message.
And you're like, oh, this is dark.
Well, like Resident Evil's always been very campy, and Silent Hill's always been very atmospheric. Silent Hill's always been about the atmosphere. Even going back to the original, it's the fog, it's the radio, it's the things you can't see and the things you can hear. They like, because you hear the radio but you can't see anything is the fog, and then you're just like, what's happening? What's coming? I don't know.
I love how the fog was put in as a lack of hardware.
Right.
Performance in Silent Hill. They
put awesome, the fog in
to cover it up, and you're like, it's such an iconic thing now. The fog.
That's a fucking great technique.
There's a lot of games that are kind of known for that kind of stuff.
When they played Silent Hill on the show.
So good.
Yeah, it was really good.
I suppose we might have to talk about Retro Replay soon, huh?
What's Retro Replay? I'm wearing all of their merch, but what's Retro Replay?
Retro Replay.
All of them. Or we can go back to talking about Xbox. Here for Ash, there's a new meme for you.
I saw that. It was hilarious.
Ash memeing me. Anyways,
Retro Replay.
Let's talk Retro Replay. And
what is it all about?
This week's Retro Replay is a YouTube show starring Nolan.
Yeah, right.
So this week we got trailer talk with the bunch of you watching the Masters of the Universe Revelation trailer, minus Nolan, right? Nolan wasn't there.
Nolan couldn't make it.
All right, which is fine. I mean, Drew obviously wanted to get on his box and share his love for Masters of the Universe.
Absolutely.
It seemed like he was really hoping that Aaron would be there.
Well, no. Okay, so I actually we were talking about like what would they want to do on Trailer Talk, and I was like, I would love to do He-Man because
that trailer's amazing.
And Drew was just like, fuck yeah, I want to talk about that because I could talk about that all day. That's my jam. So that was totally verbatim. That's what he said. So so we did that, and that was awesome. And then before I think we went live, I was like, we'll probably get guests in. I was like, there is a tweet from Aaron though that he says that he's got Battle Cat and He-Man statues in his basement. So I'd say he'd be really interested to come on. And then obviously Aaron throughout the whole thing in the live chat was like, God damn it, why am I driving right now at this second? This sucks. Like so what a fucking trailer though. Like
the trailer is phenomenal. I had watched it, I think the day it came out, and I was just like, I'm not really a He-Man fan per se. I played with some of the toys. I watched some of the show back in the day when I was a kid. But damn, that trailer just like gave me goosebumps. I was like, this is incredible.
I love the fact that they've kept the 80s. It definitely feels 80s, but then you can still they've modernized it. And I love that. Like I love when things I don't mind things being remade, but I feel like I feel like they should acknowledge the fan base. You know,
they
you
have to
should
capture the essence.
Yes,
because
capture the essence.
That's the reason why we love it. If you change it so much, it's not He-Man anymore. Like Drew was talking about the fluffy underpants. I'm like, it's He-Man. He has to have fluffy underpants. So it's just, I love that, and the whole like the Bonnie Tyler song. I was like,
yeah, so good. So good. I think you're right though. They totally captured this 80s vibe from He-Man, and they're just doing it like as what Drew said, it's polished. It just looks polished for, I don't know if they're going to do like the whole new story, if they're just going to remake the whole story, or if it's going to be continuation somehow. But this looks really good, and it'll be bringing, I guess, He-Man into a new generation that potentially didn't see it before.
Yeah. And then that's, I kind of like, I like the idea, because I mean, kids can watch it and they can also relate to, you know, that people grew up with it, and it's not going to be that whole, well, this is my He-Man and that's your He-Man. It's like, no, it's all He-Man, you know. So it's that nice little thing.
He-Man.
It's all He-Man.
All of the He-Man.
All He-Man. And the toys, we could go, I got a He-Man when I was younger. You got the same one. Yeah.
I know. And I think like Drew went off on some toys. We were like, huh?
I think my brother had some of the He-Man toys when I was a kid, because I definitely remember playing with a Battle Cat. I remember having it with the fur on it, and I remember having the like weirdly disproportionate He-Man toy where like he had tiny little legs, but then this bulking massive chest and arms.
Leg day. Yep, for sure. They all skip leg day.
I remember getting hit in the face with a He-Man toy. That was fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I don't like He-Man anymore.
Did you deserve it though?
No, I went to a friend's house. No, a friend of my mom's house. We went there one time, and a little kid was running around in his underwear with a He-Man toy, and he just went smacked me in the face with it, and I was just like, I don't like He-Man anymore.
You got attacked by He-Man.
I've been assaulted by He-Man.
Just get Maria.
Plastic foot in the eye. I was like,
if we're talking about throwing toys at people, my older brother once threw a Bebop toy at my babysitter when we were kids and smacked him in the face with it from TMNT. Bebop.
Is that one of those little slap things you have to do?
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think he's talking about, I thought he was talking about a Bop It.
Bop It.
Okay, so
me and Maria like thinking it's
not
Bop
a Bop It. No, it's an action figure of one of the henchmen for Shredder was Rocksteady and Bebop.
Oh.
So Rocksteady is the Rhino mutant, and then there was Bebop, who was like a warthog. And we had the action figures, and
this makes
he
more
like
sense now.
flung it at him and hit him in the face.
I literally thought you meant to Bop It, and I was like, that is a fucking weapon.
Bebop.
Like that will knock you out. Like,
I hope any TMNT fans listening right now are just like,
I'm so sorry. Yeah, TMNT. Well, yeah. They know.
I got assaulted by a lot of toys when I was younger. I
got assaulted by a lot of toys. That would make a different Toy Story movie.
Out of context.
Let me tell you. That's the porn version of Toy Story. Lol.
So podcast has gone downhill.
Listen, when does it ever go uphill, Maria?
There is no uphill.
No uphill.
There's no hill.
There's no hill.
Except for the silent ones.
No, the He-Man, it looks really good. Like
nice callback.
It is just segue. It is really good. I was never a He-Man because of I was traumatized by He-Man, but no, it is really good. And also as well, I'd like to say that the whole bringing guests on the trailer talk is great.
I was just about to shout out Louis and Louis' appearance on the trailer talk this week.
Yeah.
Like, yay, Louis, friend of our show.
I wish I actually had anything decent to say, because I'll just be on there and I'll be like, I got assaulted by He-Man once.
You could have. You should have put that in there, because Drew would have brought you in if he read that in the question box.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I just gotta hear this story. What happened?
Absolutely. And like, it's not going to be the last time, I'm sure, that we're going to do these live. Like, I don't know if that's going to be anything like going forward. A lot of the times it does depend on scheduling. Yeah. So a lot of them might still be pre-recorded as usual. But whenever we do go live, it is great to give members that opportunity. If you're listening right now and you're not a member, go over to the Retro Replay YouTube channel and check the membership tab for details. But yeah, it is really nice to get members on and to actually interact with us on the show about trailer, because we've had so many comments like that before. Like, oh my God, I love this franchise. I wish I could have joined in that conversation. And it's awesome to get your opinion. Yeah, now you can. All you need to do, be a member. As soon as we go live, we'll put up a little space for you in the members only comments tab. So you just click that link and you're right in.
I'm just going to be known as someone who has the silly stories. They're going to be like, we're going to have to hear this one. What
happens?
Perfect. What happens this time?
Yes.
It's a good thing that you guys.
It, Maria.
It's a good thing they didn't start the live thing sooner, because I would have been sitting there like at the ready, like let's go for the Godzilla episode just to get shit on the entire time, and PJ be like, I like Godzilla, and I'd be like, thanks, PJ.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. There's
but
a whole
then
debate
at least
there,
I got to be on Halo and actually share like my love and passion about Halo. Yeah. So that's why I was saying it's a good thing it wasn't live back then.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like there's going to be so many more cool shit that we're going to talk about on the show that anybody can just like pop in and come in and have a comment about or have an opinion about and join in live, which is a really cool feature now for membership. So it's really cool. Hasn't been quite like introduced as a membership perk, but it is open to all members. So feel free to go out.
If anybody wants to share their opinion on things, they can always come here on the Replayer Podcast and talk to us and share their opinions.
That is true.
That's true.
That is true. If you'd like to be on the Replayer Podcast, email the replayerpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes. Yeah. And then you can come discuss things like the Contra speedrun that they had on Retro Replay this week, where Nolan just constantly had his mind blown by
it was impressive.
Special guest, Mr. Angry Lynx, crushing through Contra in 10
the thing is,
minutes.
I've never got past the first level of Contra ever. Like, I know I'm terrible at it, but he made it look so easy. I was like, I want to give that game a go. And I was just like, that ain't gonna happen. And that thing that what he was talking about with the controller with the buttons doing that thing, that's exactly how I play track and field. So that's how I used to do that. And so I have I can make my finger go really, really fast by doing that. So what I do is I hey tense my wrist really hard, and it makes my finger shake, and so I just go that's also how I got PlayStation 5.
I used to do that just like
This is the biggest phrasing ever. If you don't throw a fucking phrasing in right now,
and then when I used
stop
to play
editing this.
I'm just gonna steamroll past that.
No, it was great. I actually thought
it's skills that got me a PlayStation 5 though. That
skill got you a PlayStation 5.
Add to cart. Yeah.
Add to cart. Of course, because you're trying to beat everybody else to the cart.
Yeah.
I gotta say, my mind is blown. Anytime they bring on speedrunning, Anthony Caliber, obviously an incredible speedrunner. And then he found, I presume he introduced the show to Angry Lynx. Just speedrunning in general is so fascinating and so impressive. When Angry Lynx started, and he was like, I try not to jump as much so that we don't drop frames, so he can get through the level quicker. I was like, holy shit, that is so specific.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff really does blow my mind.
It is super impressive. I would love for that. I wonder if you could do if somebody wants to do a world record attempt on a game, is to have a Retro Replay exclusive where it's they're going to try and break the world record on
I think that's
the show.
Kind of
that
what they're talking about trying to get
amazing
done.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did say they mentioned it at the end, but yeah,
obviously it can't be a game like Last of Us where it's a 2-hour game, but something like Contra where it's it's a live exclusive. They're going to try and break the world record. So
that would be genius, Maria. I'll send that over. Put your name on it.
Yeah,
I mean, even Angry Lynx kind of said something too. He's like, if we weren't stopping and talking and pausing, okay, why don't they just have him restart and just let him go and don't make him stop?
Well, they could have him
just
playing
watch.
and just they can just comment over the top of it, and he's just playing in the game.
They do esports commentary, look at him go.
Esports commentary. Oh my god, we could get Michelle and Nolan on the shows to do
Nolan esports commentary over a world record attempt.
Yes.
Yeah, and then he starts talking about how he's pushing that button and how if that's getting him some extra luck with the ladies.
So much phrasing.
Just like Nolan, and he's I'm running.
Right. Oh, I gotta say though, Nolan's the best bit of this was the Manscaped sponsor.
Oh my god, that Manscaped sponsor ad.
Oh my god. If you want to check that out, I think it's at manscaped.com, and then it's you enter code Retro Replay to get 20% off. But oh my god, that was the funniest fucking thing when he was just like, let's get aggressive.
I want to know we need to ask Steph how much of that was post editing, sound effects and stuff like that. I
actually don't think it was editing. I reckon
Like
those
he's
things are
actually got
loud.
the manscape to make that noise.
It comes charged, right?
Well, yeah.
So like when he presses the button, like it does make the sound. And you can see a little light on it as well. So oh man, that was fucking funny. That I lost
It was
my
hilarious.
Because like after he was doing the first bit and everything, right? And he was like, "Oh, let's try this out," and then he goes, whew, and I was like, "Poor Jill is gonna have all this hair all over her office." Like I feel that's awful. Where he's recording, I was like, "Oh God, poor Jill's gonna have to wipe that up." And then when he did the aggressive thing,
I love the whole like with the Manscaped thing. Obviously, it's a sponsorship and things like that, and I think it's really really cool. But I love that we don't take it too seriously. It's not
for sure.
Everyone be quiet. I need to shave pubes.
Yeah,
it's a joke.
Yes.
It's a running joke, and it's like,
Absolutely.
oh, Manscaped, yay!
I can easily say too when he started going into it, like the whole like this episode's been brought to you by Manscaped. I'm like, oh good, here we go, another like read ad, and it's like, okay, but then Nolan just goes nuts with it. I was like, okay, this is pretty good. This is hilarious.
It's genius. Yeah. It's so good. I think I remember the first time they did a Manscaped ad. And I literally I think I did a spit take because I was like, what? Hang on. Because they had been doing like all the Hello Fresh stuff, right? Like they'd been doing like food stuff at the time. And then when this came up, it was just smooth. Yeah, it was like your balls will thank you and all this. And it was just so out of left field it was so brilliant.
What? Hang on. I don't want to hear about Nolan's balls, sorry, but it's kind of weird.
Why not?
It's I'm sorry.
Why not?
I want a picture of him framed.
Just there. Nolan or
I'm gonna do
PJ. You want some
Who
PJ Silver
about?
Fox?
To that.
Honestly, a compilation. And it's not even
comment,
named.
I'm gonna do my
like a gallery of balls hanging.
It's a gallery of balls, kind of like the Andy Warhol, where like there's like different like sepia tones and shit like that. Like sure.
So it's just like your back wall is just
the sound of a cat puking to that. I'm gonna go.
Oh my God. Oh, stop!
She has to work that in every episode she's on now.
No, thank you. But that would be a horror show. Can you imagine
if
you went in somewhere and they just had pictures of balls on the wall? Like, I mean, you know how you go in somewhere and they could have like pictures of tits or something because it's artistic, right? And there's some beautiful shots and like women are fucking beautiful. Let's all face it. But then you have pictures of balls and you're like, oh God, is it looking at? I don't even. What's happening here?
What is it?
What is going on?
It's like a Silent Hill monster.
I pictured the Uncle Noli set and how he's got all the portraits behind him.
Yeah. I would actually love a picture like I would love them to do that, but like of all the different shapes that they could do their hair. You know what I mean? Like they would like do around their pews like a little heart, and then there's like a shamrock, and then there's like
thanks, Manscaped.
A smiley face. Yeah.
And there's balls and with a beard, and there's balls with like a little white hair, and
perfect. Yes. Maria knows. Maria sees what I see.
What are we doing right now?
I don't know.
We are moving on.
There was a Manscaped ad, and we got off track.
This has been the weirdest replay podcast ever.
Oh man,
it's gonna get the most views ever.
Right. Let's crank it up. Drew's going to be like, what were you guys talking about? Because it's gone crazy.
Yeah, we went off on a tangent for a good hour. Like, you're just shooting the shit this time.
It's just a lot of shooting the shit.
That's okay. That's what we're here for.
That's what it's always been about. It's always been about the tangents.
It's always been about tangents.
We're gonna make a tangent. We're gonna be on topics and tangents. The Replayer podcast is gonna be the topic and tangent.
Oh,
One day.
There was a podcast and they were talking about our ball sacks.
There was our very own Pagan McGrath was talking some balls.
Talking some balls.
You need to get the portraits of balls now. Then you'll be on topics and tangents.
Perfect.
There you go.
Yes.
Does anybody have thoughts on anything right now besides balls? Contra. Contra the game.
Contra's a load of balls.
Yes. I will leave you with that visual. Thank you for signing in to the Replay podcast.
Randy's gonna come home one of these days and just like whack. The hell's wrong with you?
What the fuck is this?
This is what we signed up for. I'm just gonna be like, this is not gonna be the podcast I share with people I work with.
The not safe for work podcast.
Are you sure? I don't know. I want to put it in my work group.
I'm always like, hey guys, I'm like that. You sometimes I'm like, oh, I've been on a podcast and like, let's hear it, and I'm like, oh, I don't know where it is. No.
I think there's some great times where I would be at work and there's people there and they're asking me like something, what are you doing at work? Or they're trying to arrange something for after work. And I'm like, no, I'm not available. I have something else. Like I do something else after work. And they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I work for Retro Replay. I'm just Nolan North. And just the blankness on their face is just like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Just
as soon as you mentioned YouTube, I can almost hear the eye roll. They're just like,
oh, she's another there.
Okay.
Like, good for you. And then there's one of my bosses. I actually mentioned him on the show because we were talking about PJ. One of my bosses was like, so what do you do? And I told him and he was like, oh, really? And then he went to YouTube and saw it and he was like, I watched the Jovenshire episode last week. And I was like, no way. And he's like, I fucking did. I loved Smosh games. I can't believe that he's like, oh, and you work for these people. And he's like, that's amazing. So like, does Nolan like shout you out and stuff? As like, I was like, what? I work like, I don't think you grab the concept here. So I showed him Trailer Talk and he was like, oh my God, this is unreal. And one of the first things he said, he pointed at PJ and was like, who's that? He's a silver fox. And I was like, he is a silver fox. You're not wrong.
I also want to say, I just want to say, talking about PJ, is the dinosaurs. Where are the dinosaurs? The little
in the background?
Yeah, where are they?
You have to make room for his Emmy.
You have to make room for the Emmy.
I don't care. I want to adopt him. He needs to put them on the Replay website, and I'm going to buy those plastic dinosaurs.
Wait, I think it's his kids' dinosaurs. I don't care. Like, that's not even his room. It's his kids' room.
I have buckets full of plastic dinosaurs, Maria, if you want some plastic dinosaurs.
No, she wants those ones.
I want those ones unloved. Because they're unloved and they need a loving home, and I'm in the business of rehoming unloved animals.
That's true. That is true. Maria does do that. So PJ, if you do have
the angels fly away every year, plastic dinosaurs are taken off the shelf and thrown into a bin.
I think it's about time we wrap up the show, ladies and gentlemen. Because now everybody's broken anyways and no one else can talk at the moment. So I'm going to take control and say that's about it for us on the Replayer podcast, ball talk and dinosaur talk. And,
I don't know why that got me. That got me so good. Sorry. Oh my God. That was so good.
So with that, let's share our socials and say goodnight. Maria?
You can find me at Twitter on... at Pocket Ninja 85 and on Twitch at twitch.tv/PocketNinja85.
Great. Pagan, can you manage to speak right now? Do you need to
get into? I have a tear. I have a literal tear.
In the arms of the angels.
It was just so well done because I was like, where's she going with this? And then it was just exactly like one of those animal shelter adverts. So good. You can find me at Pagan Plays on Twitter and Pagan_Plays on Twitch and Instagram.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yes. And of course, you can find me at Stark Evil Vash on any platform except for on Twitter. I'm Stark Evash. I don't have the energy to do my bit. But yeah, like earlier we said, you can reach out to us at the replayerpodcast@gmail.com. You can always reach Retro Replay at members@retroreplayshow.com if you have any questions about memberships or if you want to bother Pagan.
Yes, absolutely. Bother the email members@retroreplayshow.com. If you've got any questions about memberships or membership perks or anything, or you've got any concerns, please do let us know.
That's game over, folks. Like we need to
bye.
Good night. Go. Stop
listening.
Get
out of here. What are you still doing here? Go. God.
Get out of here.